And today we have another interesting topic to look at, like so the Nigerian Police Force Established Act 2020 implications on human rights. That is the topic of discussion for today. And to discuss this, we have OLAITAN EYIOWAWI, consultant solicitor, Bethel Solicitors, London, United Kingdom. You're welcome, sir. We also have Mazi Afam Osigwe. He is a senior partner at Law Fort and former General Secretary, Nigerian Bar Association. You're welcome also. We also have Kunle Edun. He is a human rights activist, welfare secretary, Nigerian Bar Association, and senior partner, Trilex Partners, LP, Warri, Delta State, Nigeria. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Finally, on our list, we've got Sylvester Udemezue. He is legal practitioner and lecturer, Nigerian Law School.
Thank you very much. Without wasting time, I think we allow OLAITAN to kick off his presentation if you are ready to do that, sir.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be a presentation, but thank you very much. And I really appreciate the privilege of coming on to your live program. I think it's a very topical conversation at the moment, considering what's happening in Nigeria now, which is the big elephant in the room. And I will start off by saying that the current act, the 2020 Act of the Nigerian Police Act of 2020, it attempted to be an all-conquering statute regarding matters policing, and it's quite extensive in its provision. It was signed into law by the President on the 15th of September, though I didn't see anywhere on the act where it confirms when it comes into effect. So we'll assume that it came into effect on the day the President signed the bill, 15th September 2020, and it repealed the previous act of 2004. And particularly, this current act has got 17 parts, 142 sections. And if you compare that to the act it repealed, which had only 11 parts and 69 sections, it tells you that, well, it's quite ambitious in its effort to provide a good policing law for Nigeria. And it laid quite a number of rules. The 2004 Act had just 7 provisions regarding police powers. This current Act has got 40 different provisions on police powers. Like we all know, there are quite a lot of laws in Nigeria, a lot are on the book, never observed. People are now aware that they exist. The current provisions, the various provisions of this current Act are quite encompassing. But as we know, rules are observed more in breach than in compliance. As it relates to human rights, a lot will depend on how the lawyers actually seek to really push the boundaries of the law. Because looking at a particular section of this current act, Section 38, for instance, it gives police officers very wide discretions. And discretion, as you know, are the easiest thing to abuse, more so considering the nature of the Nigerian police force, which we know are not your friend. Policemen are meant to be your friend, but the ones in Nigeria are hardly your friends. So a lot will depend on legal practitioners in Nigeria to try and push the limits of the law by way of instituting litigation and leading them on to enforcement. And I also like to touch on a very, very important section of this current act, which mandates that every police division must have a police officer who must also be a legal practitioner. And the important thing about that is that this particular officer is a compliance person. And if you're a compliance person, you are subject to heavy regulation. And the police officer, being the compliance person in the police division, is regulated under the Legal Practitioners Act in Nigeria. And you can actually bring that person to book. If not under the Police Act, you can bring them to book under the Legal Practitioners Act. Then importantly, there are sections of the 2020 Act that I'd like to touch on, which are quite controversial. I'll look at Section 6, for instance. Section 6 is in direct conflict with Section 6 of the Police Service Commission Establishment Act. Under the Police Service Establishment Act, there is in force a Police Service Commission, which deals with different things from discipline to promotion. Then under this new act, that they established a new commission called the Nigerian Police Commission. And I think this is just consistent with how we tend to create bodies in Nigeria without regard to existing bodies. The highest decision-making body under this current act is the Nigerian Police Commission. And this commission has got 39 members. And these 39 members are the President of Nigeria, the 36 state governors, the IGP, and chairman of the Police Service Commission. You can imagine what these guys have on their table already. I do not think for the life of me that these 39 persons will have the time to really provide the management and the leadership expected of a police force to police about 200 million people. That for me, it's not something that was well thought of in this enactment. I will commend to the drafters to try and revert to the Police Service Commission, Section 6, which was quite considerable in its provision, in making allowance for women's interests, the Nigerian press, civil society, the judiciary to be part of the Police Service Commission that manages things this act tends to want to bring into play as well, discipline. And then one of the other things I also want to point out, which I think, talking about human rights law, the basis of human rights in Nigeria is Chapter 4 of the Constitution. And Section 5 of this 2020, the Police Act of 2020, now states that, well, the essence of this act is for the promotion and protection of human rights. But in attempting to do so, it also contradicted itself. One of such areas is the provision it made that private detectives can now be established in Nigeria, and detective schools can also be established. But it now subjected their existence to vetting and approval by the policemen. I think this is going too far. And I think it contravenes Section 16(1)(d) of the Constitution, as a sense that I don't think you need any license to be a private detective. Anyone can seek to dig up information subject to not infringing an existing law. Now, it seeks to now put people out for normal economic cares to seek police approval to do what any normal person can do. These are one of the areas the current Police Act contravenes the Constitution. Then it's interesting also that there is also established a public complaints response unit, which is a very good development, really, in the sense that members of the public and anyone, including policemen, can send complaints to this particular unit. But sadly, this unit was not well constituted, in the sense that all its members are policemen. We'll have expected that a body to oversee police behavior and police conduct will have independent members, like retired judges, members of civil societies, and maybe journalists as well. Then the other area I want to really touch on will be particularly the use of police powers to infringe on rights of privacy. Now, coming back to Section 38, which provides wide powers to policemen to arrest without warrants and to detain and actually go into people's private properties, like, for instance, your phone. Your phone, smartphones today, we know it's more than just a phone. It contains a lot of information, which also includes your financial data, your personal data, your email addresses. The police having access to one's phone is a major breach of the right to privacy guaranteed by the Constitution. And coming back to what I said, it would depend on our lawyers to push the boundary of the law in letting the police know that, yes, you've got discretion, but your discretion must be subject to law. And this is where the police officer, who is meant to be a legal practitioner, becomes a very important person. Because one is a policeman, is also a lawyer. he can well impact the knowledge of the law on his fellow officers and tell them about the consequence of non-compliance. And also, as I said earlier, the legal practitioner, the LPA, which regulate lawyers, can also be brought to bear on, this legal person. So I'll let you go on to our next member of the panel before I come back to you.